If you are not tracking, you don't care enough about your goal. This is a quote I actually heard from Alex Hormozi from a video a couple or maybe many months back. And it's one that's when I first heard it, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it's one that has hit me over time, that has really solidified with me as I go along in my marketing journey. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brendan Fuller, and I am a marketing lead at an agency that's working with a couple different clients. One is um, doing about 100K plus per month. Uh, I'm working with the social medias. I grew the Instagram from 5 to 102K on Instagram within a year. I have helped scale their YouTube, one of their YouTubes up to 50K in subscribers. And so with what I'm talking about here, it's one that I hope to pass down as if I was into my marketing journey or just in general trying to achieve goals, then this is something that's become more and more clear and more obvious to me. So there's a quote, as I mentioned, that Alex Hormozi said during one of his videos. I don't know the context of it, but you're saying if you don't, if you're not tracking the fine details, you're not tracking what you're trying to do, then you just don't care enough about your goal. And honestly, at that point, you're probably not going to be as successful compared to if you were. And so this is very vague. But if we start to extrapolate what this means, apply it to even just everyday scenarios, to even business scenarios, it starts to make more and more sense. So, for example, if we're talking about, let's just say someone wants to gain weight, or let's just say that someone wants to lose 10 pounds, right? What would you track? What would you want to see that you are on the right progress? Well, obviously, you would track numbers, right? You probably track how many workouts you're doing every day or a week, more so. And then you probably track if you're losing weight, probably your macros. You probably look at, if you're really serious about this, how much calories are going in, or rather, how much calories are you not putting in at a deficit to lose weight, right? And the same could be said if you flip this, right? Where if I'm trying to gain weight, I'll probably look at how much gym sessions I'm doing. I'm probably looking at how much calories I'm eating in a surplus. So I know that my input is affecting my end goal. And so that's the thing is you want to be tracking your inputs and your outputs because you care, right? Let's just say if I wanted to do this for business, for example, I'm working with a client really where we have a private membership. It's all online, it's all remote. And so our main traffic source is social media. And so the obvious things to track would be probably how much views we're getting on our videos on externally. What is the retention graphs of these videos? What are the click through rates to our site with UTM links? If you don't know what that is, pretty much how much people are clicking from our YouTube videos over to our site. How much people are going there? Okay, how much people come to our site to then now signing up? What is the ratio, or really what is the percentage of that happening? And so obviously those are numbers that are standard in business, right? But what is not so obvious, and maybe obviously I've been my marketing for like about 3 years now. I started from doing short form clips, just editing short form, doing the TikToks, Reels, everything you can imagine. And now I am completely evolved. I'm still completely growing and new in this field when the marketing lead. And one of the big things when you look at a business is it's kind of twofold, or you kind of have two kind of pillars that you need to look at. You have your acquisition, which is how much people are you getting in, bringing in through the door into your membership, and then the retention. Okay, how much are you retaining them? So you got the first equation of bringing people in. The second half of the battle is keeping them. And so people will look at, like I said, the YouTube stuff. They'll look at the social media stuff. They'll look at retention graphs there. They'll look at the titles. They'll look at the click through rates. They'll look at all this stuff, but they don't really do it on the back end, which is very interesting. When, especially if you have a private membership site where you are working on, let's just say your main product is kind of information, but you always package it in videos. My question to you is, if you have this, are you really tracking that? Are you tracking how many people are actually watching these videos? Are you tracking, even from there, what is the average view duration? Heck, even throw that into what is the retention graphs. Now, some platforms like Vimeo are going to have this stuff. Others, you'll have to make out of the box. And so for you, looking at how many people are visiting the sites, how much people are actually, like, what's the average view duration of your internal videos? How much, what is the retention graph on these videos as well, right? Okay. If you are have the video, maybe how long are people even just like watching the video and looking at stuff below it? So these are things that, if you have a main kind of North Star, as some would say, your main goal you're trying to achieve, let's just say you're trying to get in 100 new people by the end of the month, and, well, that's acquisition, but let's just say you're trying to improve retention. Wouldn't it make sense to look at what is the main product I'm selling? Okay, if it's videos, obviously my information's in there, it's a membership, then it would make sense to look at these videos rather than just looking and thinking, okay, maybe I can make some changes here, or maybe I can make changes here. Because at the end of the day, when you're a marketer, it's all about, you have kind of hypothesis, you kind of have some notions of what you think you should change, but at the end of the day, you're kind of like a scientist. You're like a scientist trying to figure out, if I change this variable, will it do this? If I change this variable, will it do that? And when you start to understand these small things, these small dials that you can turn to see what works and what doesn't, then you're going to be a lot more better off than you were before. You're going to be maybe 1.2 times better than your competitor because they're not tracking. There's a version out there that, with your business, with what you're doing, you're tracking every single detail, and you're looking and getting the weeds of it and seeing, okay, needs to be improved. This needs to be improved. This needs to be improved. Okay, we're gonna tweak it a little bit. We're gonna tweak it just a little bit, and we'll see the results. Okay, we're gonna do that, and it's gonna start compounding. It's gonna be a compounding effect. If you ever read Atomic Habits, you ever seen the chart where it's exponential, where you start at the beginning, and you in a short term you won't see really that much major kind of improvements or returns, but it was starting to the point where you'll already up here and you'll be indistinguishable from everyone else. You're going to be 10x better because you fine tune these small details, because you actually care. And so when I say this, when I make this video, I know I give that example of, okay, what are you overlooking? What is your goal? What is the overarching goal? Okay, let's break down into parts of what makes that goal. Let's just say if I'm trying to get members in, okay? If I'm trying to reach, let's just say I have a private membership, I have 100 people subscribed to me with my private membership. I want to get to 200. Okay, we can split that off. Well, I have the acquisition side, I have retention side. Okay, let's split that even down further to a more tree. What is retention? What are the key stats I would track if I want to have a bulletproof retention where no one leaves? What would the things I need to track and improve with that? Okay, if it's retention, it's probably onboarding. How much people are doing onboarding? Okay, what is the average lifetime someone's even um in pretty much my community? Okay, if I look at that lifetime, what are the reason maybe this drop off I'm seeing with like the more recent people I'm bringing on with my content? Is it my content that's failing, or is it something else that's just about, like, something's breaking? And so when you have these details, when you get finer in the details, you can start making more calculated guess or calculated moves rather than just guessing, because there's blind spots, and it goes to the saying, you don't know what you don't know. And you got to keep on hitting your head against a wall if you don't actually track what matters. And so you might be wondering, okay, what really matters then? Again, just start with your granular, high level goal, and then just keep on breaking it down, keep on breaking it down until you can't think of anything else. And then that's when you become clear enough to see, okay, what details should I be tracking? Okay, how can I track this? Okay, let's start tracking this. Let's get a baseline. Then let's make improvements. Are we heading in the right direction? Okay, good. Now, I do want to make a big caveat here. Data, when you're working with data like this, it is quantitative. It is not qualitative. And what I mean by this is, They are the hard facts. This is, yes, the behaviors of your audience and the people use inside, but just because those are the quantitative, you still need a qualitative. You still need to ask your customers and see the inputs and see just through them and what they value there. Because at the end of the day, yes, the facts is not, it's going to be valuable, but it's only half of the story, because sometimes it's not always the best move. Maybe short term you might see improvement, but long term you might be suffering and killing something, like killing your relationship with your members because you made a move or made a decision on stats there that you thought could improve your stats, but just say your retention, but actually might be killing it in the long term. So on that end, those are the things I have to say. Hopefully this is valuable. I know I kind of took it a little bit, it's kind of a journey for sure, but hopefully it's valuable. And so that's my video for today, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.